this risk progress is mainly on three, right? The first one is to implement some of the AI-based security detection mechanism on the game server, right? As you know that this being the latest trending mechanism that's used by many game operators. Because instead of using a very expensive third-party one, they can just simply build their own based on some open source model using a sort of a contextual pattern base and also some of the open source model libraries, right, for the inferences by themselves based on their own traffic patterns. So basically, this is really, I was innovative and also eye-catching currently. So what I'm going to do later is going to show you a quick demo of detecting, for example, some of the files, some of the HTTP requests to see that whether it's malicious or not using the open source data model. Right. And the second one is pretty standard using the host-based kind of IPS or cloud workload protection solutions from third party, and also showcase some of the SIEM solutions. Since I mean, just a very simple server setup, so the SIEM will not be very comprehensive, but showing some of the concept of using it, and also some other solutions that will be considered using later. For example, the data security or another, right? And the third one is actually the wallet based because currently, I mean, there were two ways to top up, right? Or two ways to basically commercialize or monetize your own like game assets. One way is through the real fit money, right? So basically, it will be through some of the credit card top up and selling through some of the third party website. Or trading websites. I mean, you can sell the whatever asset you gain from the gameplay for real money. But the other one is sort of like selling it through the wallet, selling it through the Web3 or cryptocurrency, right? So that to monitor it and also to protect yourself against those like on-chain or off-chain security issues is really important. As you know, the recent one is a Bybit security issue, basically that is the injections that will be implemented onto the front end page of their core wallet transaction activities. So that the user or three signers, right? Because I mean, you need to sign the transaction in order to get it approved. Three signers of this transaction actually get actually unaware of it, so that they accidentally approve the kind of transaction using the hardware signing machine or signing device. So basically, this kind of detection and also protection is really necessary as of now. Because nowadays, you can monetize through the real money, you can monetize through the wallet, on-chain, off-chain, so that the protection against those threats will be really, really necessary. So basically, these are the three that have been done over the past weeks, and I'm going to quickly showcase. So the first one is the LLM and also the Web3 related. They're going to show you some of the quick demos over here. So basically, this is the code that I'm implemented. So basically, over here, they will be constantly monitoring some of the, for example, large ETH or Ethereum transaction on the public chain. So basically, this is a very simple showcase of how we can monitor, right, the on-chain, off-chain security threat, right? So basically, the code is basically, I think it will be this one. Where is it? So get Web3 security. Right, so basically this is just to monitor some of the on-chain off-chain security, right? So if we detect a large amount of the Ethereum being transacted, so we consider a very high risk of a transaction, so be blocked. So for that one, I will be like embedded this code snippet into the report, and I will not going to hide my private keys over here, right? Because I mean, all those on-chain data is actually publicly available, and also the API data associated account is also the free account, so you can just feel free to use that, no security impact. And yeah, so basically going to monitor some of the like suspicious wallet transactions, cross-chain attacks, right? Because I mean, sometimes you need a low speed chain, sometimes you need a high speed chain to basically monetize your game assets, right? To get that transacted, because there is sort of a limit of the ETH, their own mainnets, right? So that you probably need some of the alternative chain like a Polygon ring in order to have a fast wallet transaction, etc. Right. So basically, the third one is phishing attacks, right? So that is also commonly used. So, of course, not all the wallet users. I mean, they could be the musician, they could be the content creators, right? They're not tech savvy, so they can't identify those phishing links very easily. So that to implement that is very important. So after you keep that started, right? So basically run it, and it will basically run a script constantly scanning all those like publicly available data, because the all on-chain data is publicly available, right? So that they can monitor it whether to see whether it's suspicious, whether it's malicious or not, right? So it will be constantly learning, right? So of course over here, these are all the blocks that's currently happening. And the other one is the LLM, right? So for the LLM over here, I created two scripts. So the first one is basically, just give me a moment. Click that. Net. So over here, right, just a simple script basically showing you that they're going to detect some of the considered neutral, uh, or not so malicious or forged attacks, right? So basically, they see that actually they can see this is, I mean, obviously for training purpose, right, or for testing purpose, so that even though it looks like an attack, but actually it shouldn't be classified as an attack, because you see that actually the UI over here is bet.com, there's no such thing, right? So I mean, from the LLM perspective, or the efficacy perspective, you should be intelligent enough, right, to tell that, okay, these are for the testing purpose, right? Because over here, I mean, use the HTTP, right? Example.com. So it shouldn't be classified as a malicious request over here. And also some of the files over here, right? So it's just like quickly forged one. So that is not actually a malicious file, even though it's named and it's suspicious. So basically, it's pretty tricky, right? And to see that whether this is LLM-based model is able to classify that correctly, right? So what I'm gonna do is so basically the environment over here, I mean, using a CUDA-based environment running on GPU. So over here, I'm going to quickly run it. So it's taking some time. So the device set to CUDA, the symbol is 0. Means I'm using the GPU, right? So over here, they see that everything is neutral. That's correct. However, if I were to get some real malicious one, detect Mali, PY, right? So over here, they see that actually over here, I've done some of the real classified, the kind of URLs over here, where even though it's still bank account, but actually the crash killers over here actually is considered more malicious, right? So over here, they also put out a score logic over here, right? So basically, it's considered actually it's more malicious than the previous one. And also, I'm adding the logics over here, right? Basically, to let you know that actually the scoring as long as it's higher and also the confidence level is higher, so that it will be considered as a malicious one. So over here, let me just quickly run through it. They see that actually is malicious considered, right? So over here, the confidence level is slightly lower, but it's considered malicious, right? So in a way that it shows you that it is actually more complicated attacks, it will be considered malicious, but somehow, it basically underscores some of the instabilities of the LLM-based detection, right? So that in the real world scenarios, I would say that we can take the LLM based kind of a threat detection as a reference, but not as, I mean, it is, I mean, by itself, as of now, is not as accurate to those like pattern based, signature based, or those like small AI machine learning model based kind of a detection engine, right? It's not as accurate as that. Because over here, it's showing you that's malicious, but the confidence level is low, right? So whether you think it's malicious or not, but in a way that the string I crafted over here is more complicated, more malicious than the previous one. So anyway, it should be considered more malicious than the previous one. But in the real world, the best recommendation is just take that as a references only first until it gets more mature, until it is some of the large language model that is designated for the security detection that's been developed, being publicly recognized, being publicly, being officially and being like regularly maintained, so that we can use that as a single source of truth. Right. So basically, this is the recommendation and the findings of mine throughout the testings over the past 2 weeks over here. Right. So basically, these are the two demonstrations of using the LLM and also the wallet based kind of a protection that will be implemented into the game server. Right. So the next one is some of the showcase of the cloud workload protections over here. Right. So as you see that I have this cloud workload protection agent being installed. Right. So the installing usually will take through some of the scriptings, a few lines of the command. So basically, it's non-Tencent Cloud. So basically, I just copy and paste into it so that it will be installed over here, right? So as you see that it's currently running, and yeah, so over here it shows that actually it's some of the risk labels over here. They can just click into it. Uh, that it's okay. Just give me a moment. Right. So basically it's showing you all the details of the servers. I mean, whenever there's some of the intrusion will be detected over here. But currently so far, I think it is some of the emergency vulnerabilities. Basically, is more on the public available data. Right. And yeah, so basically, according to the CWP of the commercial version, so that I shall be able to patch either I should grade my OS version or download the patches of each of the uh, applications patches, right? So and also over here with some of the baseline management, basically telling you that how I should configure the server in the rightful way. And also some of the event investigation if I were to upgrade it to the higher version, right? So basically, this is the quick showcase of the host level protection solution. So everything is on trial mode so that the functionality of it will not be that comprehensive, right? So basically, this is a quickly to showcase you, but I mean, basic protection is there, right? So another one is regarding the data security, right? So how can I access the server, right? So usually we'll be using the Bastion host, right? So the Bastion host is basically where they will be like inspect the input of the, for example, the keyboard stroke, right? The mouse clicks and everything, right? So that you will identify whether the input values that will be interacting with your server will be actually considered malicious or benign or not, right? So basically, this is the purpose of having the Bastion host, right? So basically, it's a proxy for all the interaction to the server. And also over here, right? So it will be recommended to have this like data security audit implemented as well, right? So basically, it's going to detect and going to basically protect you against some of the data related risks, for example, the data leakage, right? Vulnerable data. For example, the platform vulnerabilities, right, and also some of the risk highlights over here, right? So basically, it will be showing you that whether you are complying with some of the PCI DSS requirements. So it's going to compare all the data practices, for example, the inflow or input output of the data, whether it is, for example, the password leakage, whether like personal data leakage, and etc. Right. So basically, this is the sum of the data level security that you can put on. And also, right, so on the cloud, right, so usually we don't store the keys in, for example, the clear text. We don't hard code the keys into the servers like I did earlier. Instead, we install into the SM, or we call it secrets manager, right? So from here, right, instead of storing it as static value, we store it in dynamic values. So every time when we need a key, when we need a secret, then we just query this particular service and you get the key back, right? And the next one is the key management service. That's slightly different than the secret manager, right? Key management service basically that's used to use the key to basically encrypt your storage, right? Encrypt whatever assets that is on the cloud. So to encrypt that, of course, you don't keep the you don't keep the key. On your own server, offline, right, for the first attempt instead, right? So basically install temporarily on the key management server on the cloud. Well, of course, if you have the offline one, then there's a hardware key management service solution that you can use. Basically, the hardware itself is being hardened for multiple times or multiple layers. But for key management service over here, basically the easiest one is to encrypt your storage in the cloud. So everything is kept dynamic. So you don't keep the static key yourself. Instead, you leverage the key management services to encrypt the assets on the date on the cloud, right? So basically, this is a quick showcase of some other practices can be used on the cloud. Right, so the last but not least is the SIEM and the cloud-based SIEM. So it's really necessary, right? So you see that now the commercial-based SIM solutions is already having those like AI-based kind of assistance, so that they can just key in whatever that you need, it will pop out the answer. Right? Also, the cloud-based SIM service is going to show you that, I mean, from different perspectives, right? So, for example, layer one, layer two, layer three, for example, cloud firewall, WAF, and also the cloud workload protection solutions. And each of them, what kind of protection is being laid on, right? And also some of the like asset overview, asset risk overview alerts, a dashboard will be show up over here, right? So of course, if you have a sending that third-party source solutions, basically as automated scripting solutions being implemented, they can also, for example, once I detect the server is being compromised, I just say immediately shut down the server, right? So basically, these are some of the action can be taken automatically once you integrate it with the third-party source solutions, right? And also, if you like basically purchase the more expensive version, it will be able to tell you that whether the user behavior is suspicious. For example, you're constantly logging in to the server and failing like 60% of the time. So basically, it will be considered the malicious or suspicious behavior, right? So basically, these are some of the best practice that can be implemented into the game server, right? So basically, yeah,